I'm Mark Adams, and welcome to episode 24 of Marksmess podcast. We're with my daughters Charlotte and Katherine.
Katherine and Charlotte.
Charlotte and Katherine.
Katherine and Charlotte.
We look at the world of geekery using the alphabet as our guide. This month it is the letter T.
For Trinosaur.
For Trinosaur. I have got exciting news. A few weeks ago, I was on another podcast. I was a guest. Not you two, but me. Right.
And we weren't.
Of course not, because they wanted me, because I am that person.
And you don't charge £5.
I don't charge £5. Nobody made me say, where's my fiver? I was on with Andy and Steve on the Fantasticast. Fantasticast is a podcast that looks through every issue and appearance of the Fantastic Four from 1961 onwards. And I was very pleased, very proud to be asked on. And I was on... Thank you. I was on episode 267, if you want to either listen to it or miss it. And we were talking about Fantastic Four Annual 12. I was made to feel very, very welcome. Andy and Steve, of course, were two people in our Christmas pantomime. They were Stormtroopers and Tusken Raiders as well. And it was great to finally talk to them and spend some time chatting with them. I had a ball. It was a great time.
Not a square.
Not a square. And
or
I got...
a cube.
And I got
or
told,
a triangle.
and I got told off for laughing too much because you two were had gone to bed, and Mummy kept coming in and telling me off for making too
we
much
were trying to
noise.
sleep. I didn't really care.
But it was really good, and thank you to Andy and Steve for inviting me on. And do go and check out the Fantasticast. It's one of my go-to podcasts and one that inspired me to
Apart from
podcast.
ours.
Well, my ours didn't inspire me to podcast because
ours is your go-to podcast.
Ours is our go-to podcast.
Sometimes when me and Charlotte are supposed to be sleeping and you have the TV up down, then I like to listen to it and pretend I'm watching TV. You weird person.
That's beautiful and sad at the same time. One of the things...
I like to pretend what's happening in the TV.
One of the things both Andy and Steve, they like our podcast. They like a little girl going, where's my fiver?
That's me.
They also like the idea of John Adams' Letters from the Front podcast, the podcast that we do about my grandfather, your great-grandfather's letters from the First World War. But listen, thank you, Andy and Steve, for allowing me on, allowing me to have so much fun. I haven't laughed so much during a podcast, usually.
Except from ours.
No, that's usually a hand to the face. I've been on other podcasts before. Professor Allen had me on part something of his 100th episode of A Quarter Bin, and I was on with Blaine on the 75 Marvel Stories unofficial podcast. We also have had some feedback. If you'd like to give us feedback, you can by email.
mymarksmess@gmail.com.
On Twitter.
At Marksmess Podcast without the T.
On our webpage, marksmesspodcast.blogspot.com, and on our Facebook page.
Marksmess Podcasts.
And we have had a bit of feedback, so thank you very much. First of all, Uncle John.
Oh, hello.
Charlotte, could you read this out?
Rather disappointed in the last episode of Marksmess podcast. No special S for sandwiches segment, but looking forward to tea for tray bakes in the next episode.
Okay, he, of course, is not only my brother and your uncle, he also plays C-3PO in our Christmas podcast. John is not the only person who asked about sandwiches. Caroline Roundtree, who was Padme and is, of course, a family friend, said...
I was promised a podcast about sandwiches.
Well, okay. Maybe in the next month we'll get something out about sandwiches.
Maybe not.
Or maybe not. Nobody knows. But we did have our Sunday school party, and there were some lovely sandwiches there.
Sausages.
Yeah. John mentioned tray bakes. Tray bakes are an Northern Irish thing, mostly.
If you don't know what tray bakes are, you haven't came to Northern Ireland, and you obviously don't know what top hats are, or what wheaten bread actually is.
How would you describe a tray bake?
It's like something that you do not put in the oven, it's just left to cool, but it's in a tray. Mind blown.
I think we should call try and make, because you actually bake it. You make it.
You don't bake it.
Ha!
What type of things would you have?
No, not brownies.
Brownies
Brownies would be, yeah.
Mars bar buns, Malteser buns. Some other sort of
Flapjacks.
buns.
Caramel squares, which the world seems to call millionaire shortbread.
Yeah.
But we call it caramel square.
And the world seems to call wheaten bread Irish soda bread.
Call
But
it-
it's not, because Irish soda bread is a completely different thing.
Our soda
Call
bread
it
tends
by
to
the
be
name.
white and not...
Call it by the name the country calls it, or else it's not that thing.
Okay, calm. You can see this has brought a lot of emotion in the girls. We're okay. Okay, Katherine is being restrained. She's back in the straitjacket. Shall we look at other feedback?
Maybe.
Get off this food one. See, the people just... Okay.
People just love food.
People... It's
Like
those
me.
those two are troublemakers. They keep causing trouble, John and Carla. And just, Anyway,
That's what you're talking about.
Patrick Delmore, who is also in our Christmas podcast, and he's also one of
Can I just
the...
ask who wasn't in the Christmas podcast?
Me.
If you weren't in it, you're a nobody.
Scooby. Scooby's a nobody.
There might have been a bark or two from that. Anyway, Patrick, of course,
Mummy?
is from the
She's in
Next Generation, First Generation.
Is Mummy in it?
She
Oh,
read out
she's
the
in it.
credits.
Oh, yeah.
Durr.
Patrick, of course, who is in the Next Generation, First Generation podcast. He wrote...
Great episode. Thanks for playing the promo.
We played his promo for Next Generation, First Generation.
Really?
No.
I'm good friends with the sister of the fat red t-shirt who was eaten in Jurassic World.
Well, our last podcast, we talked about Star Trek and the red shirts, people who were in a shot just to die. And when we watched Jurassic World over Christmas, we really enjoyed it, didn't we?
Yeah.
And when the guys first went into where the dinosaur was,
Oh, that fat dude.
that fat dude. Okay.
I only met him once in real life at her wedding. He does a bunch of cartoon voices. I don't know if you get Clarence or We Bear Bears in Ireland, but he's heavily featured in both shows.
I did send back to Patrick that I haven't heard of Clarence or We Bear Bears. Have you two?
Nope.
No.
No.
No. So, but we'll keep our eyes out for it. But thank you very much, Patrick. That sort of adds to the richness of this
Thank you.
beautiful world we live in. There's a thing in Northern Ireland where everybody knows everyone else. I think it works out the whole world. You're only 7 connections away from anybody in the world.
What about the Queen?
Well, we would know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows the Queen.
Who?
Well, my dad met the Queen.
Oh, there you go. So we know somebody who knows somebody who met the Queen.
Who
I'm
met?
not saying he knew her, not saying they high-fived or anything, but anyway.
High five!
I didn't say...
Ruth and Darren from Rad and Adventures Network, and we'll talk about them later on in the podcast. They said,
Terrific episode, thank you. The song was a rousing start for your show.
that was the SpongeBob party we did.
No, I can't remember this.
Then you covered 3 excellent topics for the letter S. Classic Star Trek is our long-time favourite. We've enjoyed the Supergirl TV show, and Scooby-Doo is so much fun, I agree. Scooby-Doo's epic. The points and facts you shared were all very interesting, and we're looking forward to the next episode.
And of course, Ruth and Darren played Leah and Luke in the Christmas podcast. I'm going to be saying this all year because I'm so pleased with that. That was on Facebook. They also contacted us on Twitter where they said,
Love the opening song, and the selections for S are outstanding. Enjoyed hearing about them all.
and we appreciate all the feedback we get. We appreciate all the likes and the retweets as well. So thank you all very much. Now, we are going to be covering the letter T.
Can I just say something? And we will send you all a virtual high five. Here you go. Pew. Pew. Pew.
Pew.
No, it's pew.
You two, talking about foreign languages, you two were teaching me some French. You learned French in
Sweet.
school. You guys, faire pipi, which you were telling me that means sort of a loving respect to everyone, like a greeting you say in a room. So I'd like to say to everyone out there, faire pipi. Anyway, are you two okay?
Yeah.
Anyway, we are covering tea. What teas can we have? Have you heard of Thundercats?
Nope.
No.
Thundercats was a cartoon in the 80s, a bit of a revival a few years ago about sort of anthropomorphic humanoid cats who were on a planet against some mummy or something. There's
Some mummy. That doesn't make sense.
Thunderbolts.
No.
Yeah.
Thunderbolts was a comic book in the mid-90s that replaced didn't replace the Avengers, but they filled a void the Avengers left when the Avengers missed out on things. Okay, but it's not because it was also on, we watched Avengers, whatever that Avengers cartoon is.
Avengers Ultron Revolution or something.
Yeah, I'm not that keen on it. I think it's
They
quite
showed
childish.
the Halloween one last week. What?
I know. But they also had the Thunderbolts, who, of course, were, spoilers, former Masters of Evil. There's Thunderstrike, which was a comic book in the 90s, which was a replacement for Thor, Eric Masterson. And really good. I enjoyed it, and I recently went to the comic book guys in Belfast, their comic book shop, and I bought the first issue for £1.
Yeah.
I know, that was good. I like that. There's, of course, Thunderbirds. Charlotte, you like Thunderbirds?
I like it.
It was a Marination, I don't know what you call it, but lovely premise. I love the premise of it.
I like the more modern movie rather than the older movie.
Yeah, I like the movie. I really enjoyed it.
Actual real
Live action people.
I like that one.
Yeah. And the premise is good, so people going out doing good works. Favourite Thunderbird machine?
Max.
That's the silly robot.
It's not silly.
It's Thunderbird 2's the best.
Max.
Thunderbird 2.
Max.
Triffids. Thunderbird 2.
Max.
Thunderbird 2.
Max.
Anyway, okay.
SpongeBob.
Also, other things that we do not agree on. We were going to do half the episode about Day of the Triffids.
Da-da-da.
I am a huge fan of Day of the Triffids. It's one of those go-to books and go-to stories
Based on a book?
that I would. Yeah, it started off a book 1951.
Wait.
John Wyndham.
Would the first episode be the first book?
No, there was one book, so all the episodes of
that's
it.
good.
I bought very recently for this episode. I bought the 1981 BBC TV series, and I sat the girls down to watch episode 2. But the sort of creativity in it, the lovingness. What did you think?
Boringness.
Basically, all that happened in like half an hour showing was they discovered the Triffids and they tried to get away from them. Spoiler! Done, the whole
Yeah,
thing's
spoilers
ruined.
there.
Ruined it
What?
for you!
I really enjoyed it, but when you watch something with people that you know are going to be critical, things I noticed. One, the music. Some bloke on a piano. At one point, we wondered if a piano was thrown out the window.
Yeah.
And the guy, Bill wakes up in the hospital. It's apocalypse. It's the end of the world. What did he dress in? A shirt and a tie. And
Mr. Bean suit.
yeah, Mr. Bean, yeah.
When the
Wrong
guy
title.
when the guy was playing the piano, it just sounded like he's never seen a piano in his life. He was trying to do it with its feet or something.
Or a dog was playing it.
One of the
pigeon.
things I like about Day of Triffids, one, I'm not good with horror.
I like horror.
And it's
I don't.
horror that I can cope with.
I'm not horror.
It's zombies that I can cope with. I find zombies really disturbing. Not terrifying, disturbing, and I find it hard to sleep after watching something because it would pry my mind. But, that would do. Also, it's not about... The horror isn't the Triffids. Triffids are just an accidental thing.
It's the people acting like zombies and trying to...
Bang
Well-
on the window.
And there it's banging the window. Later on in the story, you have other sighted people who are manipulating the situation for their own
Like
advantage.
What does manipulate?
They're turning everything around so they'll gain from it instead of helping others. So,
They're like charging for help
Yeah.
or something.
there was also a follow-up book. The book was written in 1951. There was a follow-up book, The Night of the Triffids, and BBC did an audio drama of it just a few
Wow.
weeks ago.
Day of the Triffids. Night of the Triffids.
Yeah,
Afternoon
but
of the Triffids.
the guy who wrote it, who I've forgotten, Simon Collins or something like that, a really good book, really fits in well with Day of the Triffids, and it's set, 40
At night.
years, 30 years afterwards. Instead of meteor shower, there's night. There's a dust cloud the Earth goes into. Nobody can see. The hero wakes up and he cannot see, thinks he's gone blind until he finds a match. And eventually daylight comes again and they find a way they look at more of the world.
Like electrolytes.
He was somewhere where there wasn't any electricity or lights or anything like that because it was a village of blind people. Anyway,
Why
What
was
about camera light?
Why was
your
he?
phone?
Why was it? Why didn't they? Why was he in a village of blind people?
Yeah.
because he was.
But why?
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 Well, because he was out helping them.
But why?
They were in. Read the book. So instead of
But why?
making fun of it.
But
Right.
why?
Other teas. Right, after Triffids. I love the Triffids. I want a Triffid as a pet. Yeah. No, I'd send you out to deal with it.
That's a bidder.
Habba-ba-da. Habba-ba-da.
We know how to spell it now. What?
Right, okay. Next one, before we go for the break, is Trekker. Trekker is a comic book series by Ron Randall. Now, where have you heard Trekker before? On?
TrekkerTalk.com.
Okay, yes, it's the one what Trekker Talk with Ruth and Darren, they talk about. Trekker is about a woman called Mercy Sinclair in 2226 in the city of New Guelph.
I was going to say, if it was 2026, we're quite close to that, but no.
No, we're 200 years out. She is basically a bounty hunter.
What's a bounty? Do they hunt for bounty bars?
No, they hunt. A bounty is a fee that you're paid. So where the police can't find somebody, they hunt them down.
Oh.
Right? And she's got, you'll like this, Katherine, she's got a pet dachs called Scruff.
What's his dog?
A dachs is a cross between a fox and a dog.
Cool.
Would you like one?
Yeah.
Charlotte, honestly, I think Trekker is a great story. I have the omnibus on Comixology, and thanks to Ruth and Darren, I have got the next two graphic novels. But it's a strong female lead that you seem to like with Supergirl and Ms. Marvel. So you might like to read it at some point. Ron is also doing a Kickstarter to get his third or fourth. It's going to be called Chapel Town, and it'll have a bonus story in it as well. It's going to be a Kickstarter program that's starting the 20th of February. So if everybody who listens could go to it and see if they could help out with it, that would be great. Even if you don't give money, get the word out there. Ron made a commitment about 5 years ago to do a page a week of his work, no matter what other jobs he takes on. And he hasn't missed a single Monday since making that commitment.
Whoa.
This is one of those rare examples and good examples where you've got the person who's the writer of the comic and the person who's the artist are the same person. And when this happens, it's usually really good. You have the Fantastic Four run with John Byrne.
Because they get along.
Well, they
get along.
They get along. They know what they want.
And they go on holidays together.
You have got Thor with Walt Simonson. You've got Excalibur. Oh, I loved Excalibur when it was Alan Davis doing the writing and the art. Just fantastic stuff. So Ron wants to put a new Trekker book out there, out more often, and he's going to try the Kickstarter to see if it will help him put the books out in the schedule instead of somebody else's schedule. So he's trying to push his own material, his own owned material.
I think I know why it would be better, like, the one person, because then they know what, like, facial expression, because if they wanted to be like, ooh, it's like people could go like, oh, or ooh, not ooh.
Well, there's benefits from both having different people working on it and the one person working on it.
Would be half the workload.
That'd be that, but also...
But also, you have to split the money.
Trust you. But you'd also have somebody else bringing their creative style to it. But I do enjoy Trekker. It is worthwhile. So pop along to Trekker.com, which is Ron Randall's site, or if you want to go to Ruth and Darren on Trekker Talk.
TrekkerTalk.com.
In fact, we'll play the promo for Rad Adventures Network, because they've got some really good programs out there.
Does that stand for Ruth and Darren?
Yeah.
It does indeed.
Because I just figured that out.
Oh, Darsby.
That's cool.
Mark and Charlotte Katherine.
Cam
Mac.
or Mac. McDonald's.
Okay.
Nuggets.
Weird.
Or macaque.
McDonald's.
Charlotte and Katherine.
McDonald's.
Macaque, cack. So Mac and Charlotte and Katherine.
Cack.
Katherine and Charlotte and Katherine.
Okay.
Macaque.
I must figure out a way of getting you to read the Trekker Omnibus, which is on digital. It's on Comixology. It might mean having to sign Comixology on my Comixology on your device. Okay. Some of it's in black and white.
Nope.
Oh, would you stop that? Black and white is beautiful.
Black and white is not. It's black and white.
It's beautiful. You can come up and say, yeah, when 2000 AD went full colour, that was a day I stopped buying it. because it was, you miss so much. Some of those are so great. Some of the artists, what you can do with black and white. Oh, but anyway, it's worth, a lot of it is in colour as well. So maybe have Train to Avalon. Read that, that's in colour.
I just whacked myself in the chin.
Okay, we'll be back after the break to talk more tea, but this time
Would you
it
like
is
cup of tea?
indeed time.
Do you want
Hi, I'm Ruth.
And I'm Darren of the Rad Adventures Network.
We're a married couple who enjoy great stories of all kinds, including adventures, mysteries, science fiction, and fantasy.
Please join us for a variety of podcasts focused on a range of pop culture topics.
Trekker Talk is about 23rd century bounty hunter Mercy St. Clair from the comic Trekker by writer and artist Ron Randall. It's a blend of classic sci-fi adventures and noir mysteries set in a retro future.
Xenozoic Xenophiles is about the comic Xenozoic Tales by writer and artist Mark Schultz. It's a post-apocalyptic adventure series filled with Cadillacs and dinosaurs.
Warlord Worlds covers the many comics of writer and artist Mike Grell, including The Warlord, John Sable, Green Arrow, and the Legion of Superheroes.
Sensational Sleuths, where we talk about favorite mystery novels, movies, and TV shows.
Fantastic Fantasies, where we share our favorite fantasy films and books.
And Amazing Adventures, where we discuss action-packed adventure stories.
Listen on Podbean, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and YouTube. And follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Or visit radadventuresnetwork.com to find all of our shows and links to our social media pages.
That's RAD, R-A-D, which is short for Ruth and Darren.
The Fantastic Arse is your guide to the Fantastic Four from the beginning of the Marvel Age of Comics in 1961 onwards.
Each week, Steve Lacey and Andy Leyland cover every issue, spin-off, guest appearance and cameo, and more.
And in 2015, we begin our journey through the decade that taste forgot, the 1970s.
Join us as we take a look at
The departure of Jack Kirby and Stan Lee.
the Kree-Skrull War,
The arrival of Marvel Team-Up.
Bill Murray as the Human Torch,
Creators including Roy Thomas, George Perez, Marv Wolfman, Jerry Conway, Rich Buckler and John Byrne.
and of course, Marvel 2-in-1.
All this and more at ffcast.libsyn.com and on iTunes and Stitcher.
The Fantastic Cast.
Insert catchy tagline here. Wait, what?
And we're back, and welcome back to the second part, and we'll be talking about time travel. What do you...
Timey-wimey stuff.
Timey-wimey stuff,
Oh, is
indeed.
that too early?
Well, with time travel, it's never too early.
Sorry, I just came back from the future. I thought this was the time.
So I just came back from doing nothing,
Okay, what time travel things do you know of?
Doctor Who.
And how does he travel?
By a ship.
TARDIS.
Which means...
Time and dedication in
Time and relevant
in space.
dimension.
Time
In
and
space.
relative dimensions in space.
Oh, I got most of it.
Yeah, perfect. Oh dear. Anything else?
Time traveling with my hamster or something.
How
like
did he
that.
travel in time with that?
In a metal bucket.
A metal book.
Just an ordinary metal bucket?
Wait. No, never
His
mind.
father bought us that. His father added things to it.
Oh,
I
it's
was gonna
not...
say Despicable Me 3, but it's not a time travel machine, it's a growing machine thing.
Huh? Okay.
Stuart goes into like a big circle-y thing, and I thought...
Oh, yes, he grows to be very big, and you thought that was time travel.
But it's not.
Things you need to know about time travel. 1. The butterfly effect.
The bird?
The butterfly
I think
effect.
we've done this before when we did Doctor Who.
Yeah.
We're repeating
I
ourselves.
don't remember.
Or are we?
Da-da-da.
Or are we about to repeat ourselves?
Da-da-da. I don't
Or have
remember it. Tell me, I don't remember.
Right, butterfly effect. Charlotte, if we've done this before, what is the butterfly effect? You don't know.
Ha!
You go back in time, you stamp on the butterfly, You can destroy civilizations. Little things done in the past can affect big things in the future.
Like, if you stamp on a fly, then there might not be any flies in the future.
That would be good.
Yeah.
But you can change the future.
And then there'd be, like, spiders would be more out there because they wouldn't.
Spiders will have taken over the world. If you travel back in time, you can change the future by mistake, by doing any little thing.
Yeah, but then you can go back in time and change that mistake.
But then you can change it.
Yeah, then that would change something else. Like if you went back in time to the First World War, to the Somme, and you picked up a gun and shot one of the German soldiers on the other side, that could have been Hitler.
It could mean either World War II doesn't exist or World War II, the Germans win.
Yes. Or it could be even worse. I'm guessing the second one. Because World War II was inevitable after World War One. If you name something World War One, somebody's going to be going.
The Treaty of Versailles. Actually, it was named the Great War, not World War One. They called it either the war to end all wars or the Great War.
Okay. What were you going to say about the Treaty of?
Treaty of Versailles, really. It was a treaty where the Germans had to sign
An
it.
agreement.
So it was America, Italy, who backed out of it because they thought it was ridiculous. Britain and France, and America, Britain and France, they designed a treaty where Germany had to sign it, and they had to give a certain amount of money each month. I think it was something like 100,000 then, but that's like billions now, each month. And Germany couldn't keep up with it, so Germany declared war. Well, they invaded a couple of other countries, and then Britain declared war on Germany. If they didn't surrender by a certain time, then Germany didn't surrender.
Wow, that's way to bring the podcast down with, real life history and facts. Let's keep it light.
You did ask!
I did actually. We've had the butterfly effect. There's the grandfather paradox.
Ooh.
Right? You go back in time to a time before your grandfather had your father, and you accidentally kill him.
Then you wouldn't be alive.
Then who went back in time?
No one.
Then who killed your grandfather? That's the grandfather paradox.
Wait, what?
I wouldn't.
You go back in time to 1981 to a 10-year-old me who's watching Day of the Triffids on TV, and you accidentally kill me.
And hiding behind the sofa.
How did I accidentally kill you?
I don't know, you...
Drop a plot in your head.
You accidentally drop an anvil on my head because
What's
you
an
saw...
anvil?
It's a big metal heavy thing.
Why? Just like, I'll drop this on your head by accident.
That's what they do in cartoons.
No, you throw it from the balcony and then Daddy's at the bottom of that.
What? While watching TV at the bottom of the balcony.
Anyway, so you kill me, you're not born then.
How did I do that?
How did you go back in time? If you weren't born. So I didn't get killed.
But then I disappeared.
But then you are born and you kill me. And then you're not born, so you didn't go back in time, so I'm still alive. So you get born. So it's called a grandfather paradox. What would happen if that did happen? You'd cease to exist at the same time, stopping what actually happened, so being existed again.
You would exist, but not exist.
Time travel is a bit of a headache. There are alternative timelines.
Like space and the Milky Way.
You go back in time, you change something, you come back forwards in time, and you're in a different timeline. You're back here where Germans won the Second World War, and we are speaking German.
I don't know any German.
Ah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
That'll get you through a lot of time.
12.
There is also time loops, where you relive the same moment again and again and again.
Like Doctor Strange did.
Yes.
Who was it? I've come to bargain.
Dormu.
Dormu, I've come...
So you basically do the same thing So you basically do the same thing over and over again, just like...
One of the most famous movies is Groundhog Day. Bill Murray has to live the same day again and again and again and again. What would you do if that happened?
I think you showed us about that once.
Probably we've watched it. There was an episode of Stargate, SG-1. There was an episode of other things.
There's this kids program called The Worst Year of My Life Again, and he relives that year again.
So what would you do if you had to relive your life again?
I had this game It's called That Same Level Again or something. And then,
Well, thank you.
basically it was the same level, but then it's slightly different.
Okay, that's something to cut out.
I would, if you had like two options, I would choose the option that you didn't go for to see how your life could turn out.
What?
Like, say you had the option between cereal and toast for your lunch, or for your breakfast, and you chose cereal. I would choose toast. So do the opposite of what you did.
Okay. Bill Murray, his character goes through depression and tries to kill himself. Can't, because he has to relive the day again. And he ends up learning a lot of things.
You'd be good at your French vocab if you did the same day after day after
Yeah,
day.
think how much you'd learn. And you could do things that you could get away with. Okay,
What do you
different.
mean?
Well, if you robbed the bank, then you lived the same day again.
Oh.
You wouldn't have the money, but you
You'd
knew you
have
could
the
get away with it.
experience.
Okay, so what methods of time travel are there? Name me a few.
In a box.
Well, in a machine.
Yeah.
Time machine, okay?
With a watch.
Well, that's a machine that travels through time. Any machine that travels through time forces you to travel through time is a time machine.
Cardboard box.
Well, how can a cardboard box travel through time?
Exactly. It's magic.
I don't know anymore.
Magic?
See it? See, I find it!
No, you said cardboard box.
I said
Cardboard box
cardboard. I said-
and magic are not the same. This is why you did not get your letter for Hogwarts.
No, I said a cardboard box.
Yeah, and I did.
Shh, I said a cardboard box. That's magic.
I
Genius.
didn't hear the magic. You're going to have to listen to the tape again. There is a wormhole.
A word.
A wormhole. That's a connection between 2 points in space and time. And there is a nexus in space. That's a rip in space that
And
you can
time.
walk through. Yeah.
Time and space.
Yeah. So all those things you could do.
Oh, you know the way earlier you were saying that there isn't any time traveling in Supergirl?
Uh-huh.
There's, the Flash comes from a different dimension.
Alternative reality.
Haha.
Kind of. I think the Flash does a lot of time travel from what I read.
Yeah. But then...
And the other one.
They end, like, the Flash on a cliffhanger because then he comes back and then he says, Supergirl, I need your help again. And then she goes into the Flash episodes, I take it.
Yeah. And you haven't got the Flash episode.
No!
Oh, no! There's also getting messages from the future.
Ooh.
If you could send yourself a message from the future, what would it be?
Wait, I saw this chat story and it was something like that.
If you could send a message to your 5-year-old self, what would you send?
Hi.
Don't eat that stuff.
Well, your cats are good.
Yeah, what would you
To be
say?
honest, if you're sending a 5-year-old something, they would just forget it.
True. What would you say to yourself last week?
Hi, how you doing?
So poor.
Spend your holiday more wisely.
Okay, fair enough. You're coming back from their holidays. You can say science fiction had messages sent by television signals, radio signals, maybe even the internet. Right, my top 4 time travel programs that concentrate on time travel. There is.
Duh.
Okay, top 5 then. Doctor Who, of course. But then again, time travel is just a way of telling a story in that. You have got Timeless, which is a modern series, which I watched the first series, about these people who travel back in time in American history, and they do different things and stuff like that.
Doctor Who is educational.
Thank you for that.
Because it tells you about history.
I think any time travel goes back in time would tell you about history. Quantum Leap is a TV series from the early 90s, and it was Dr. Sam Beckett jumped into different people's bodies back in time.
You told us about this.
Weird.
Told you about that before. It's really good, but I'm be worried about showing it to you because it's stuff that is like, it's probably equivalent of, Day of the Triffids to you. The special effects and the pacing wouldn't be as good.
No.
But there's no man on the piano.
Good. Jinx.
Bad luck too.
One back.
Wait, can I say something about Day of the Triffids?
Yeah.
It kind of looked like all the people were just really clumsy.
Yeah, it really
Because there's a guy fell off a balcony, and there was a girl who kept him bumping into.
Did he fall off a balcony or did he kill himself? Because he couldn't face living without sight. Oh, suddenly there's a different dimension to it there. All right. Anyway, back in time a wee bit more to 1960 and The Time Machine, based on the H.G. Wells novel about a man in the Victorian era who invents a time machine. He first of all goes forward in time a wee bit. Some great graphic. Is a beautiful movie and scares the wits out of me when he gets to the Morlocks.
I've got one. Mr. Peabody and Sherman.
Mr. Peabody and Sherman. Forgot about that. I didn't enjoy that. No.
I loved it.
But what happens when you're at high school and your weird professor friend suddenly accidentally sends you back to when your parents were alive? That's right, we have Marty McFly and Back to the Future.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, well, have you seen it?
Nope.
Oh, what were you going to say about it?
That Diana, they say that Diana is alive, but she's not.
What? They say Diana is alive. Oh, yes, and Back to the Future 2, yes, because
They say we'll have self-tying laces, and we'll have hoverboards, and we don't have any of them, but we do have a device called hoverboards, but it doesn't hover.
Oh, we talked about that in Back to the Future, when we talked about something in Back to the Future 2.
We do have self-tying laces. Those curly ones.
They don't tie them by themselves, they just don't tie.
We must watch that sometime, the trilogy of Back to the Future, because it's really good, a lot of fun. And if you liked Spider-Man Homecoming, you might like it because there's a lot of things in common. Okay. That is all I have time for in talking about time travel. Do you see what I did there?
But tumbleweed.
But hopefully we'll be back next time for another episode of Marksmess podcast.
I've got a joke.
Okay.
A lamb, a drum, and a snake fall off a cliff.
Folks, if you have to relive this day over, don't listen to that.
Was that just a tumbleweed running past?
This has been Marksmess podcast, brought to you by the letter
T
of geekery. All characters are property of the owners and not us. You can contact us by email at
mymarksmess@gmail.com,
on Twitter
at Marksmess podcast without the T,
on our webpage at marksmesspodcast.blogspot.com, on our Facebook page,
Marksmess Podcast.
and thanks to Josh Woodward of joshwoodward.com for the title music. Next time we are going to be looking at the Geek letter U.
Yay.
What am I going to do for
Universal Studios.
you?
Genius.
That is a good idea.
Monsters University.
Oh. Any other ones, Charlotte? No, I can't think of any at the moment apart from the UFOs. UFOs! So, anyway, thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you next time on
Marksmess Podcast. Marksmess Podcast.